everyone! It's World Cancer Day today, and we're coming live to you from Geneva, Switzerland, and from Zambia. So, Muli Shani to our Zambian friends, and hi, Karen.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, Karen. So let me quickly introduce everyone. So first of all, welcome to our live broadcast. We are, as Janine mentioned, live, and this is obviously always a pleasure to connect with people from all over the world. And we have with us Karen Nakawala. You can see in the screen. She's joining us from Zambia, and Karen is a cervical cancer survivor. She's a World Health Organization advocate, and she founded Teal Sisters Foundation, that is an organization part of our network, as well as members here at UICC.
A UICC member.
A UICC member. We are very proud to say a UICC member. Just to tell you a little bit about Karen, she promotes early cervical cancer screening, breaking taboos through radio broadcasts, and a Facebook group that I believe has more than 100,000, 130,000 followers, which is amazing, Karen. She creates a supportive community for women's health discussions, and we are, again, delighted to welcome you today. Karen, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on this very special day.
And Karen, we know that you're actually missing one of your own radio shows to be on this live with us today. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
It's a pleasure. At least it's for a good cause, so it's okay.
Actually, we would really love to talk to you about your journey and your experience with cancer. So could you tell us a little bit about what has inspired you? Well, first about your personal journey with cancer, and then what has inspired you to become an advocate?
Thank you so much. I think just the whole cancer journey for me has been a very big eye opener and a learning experience because I went through what I think no woman should ever have to go through. A cancer diagnosis itself, I think for the longest time we have believed that it's a death sentence, and the first thing that you feel when they tell you that you've got cancer is, I'm going to die, I'm going to leave my family. And so much goes through you, so many emotions that sometimes you can't even begin to explain what it is that you're feeling. And then it's a very lonely journey, because when you're going through cancer treatment, they'll tell you to avoid crowds because your system is suppressed, so it's very easy for you to catch infections. So you find that most of the time it's just you and your very immediate family. And for a person like me, whose life is literally in the public eye, everything I do is with the public. I think that was one of the hardest things I had to do. It was a very lonely process, but I needed to go through it in order for me to get better. And then also, I met a lot of women. I think, in as much as we're all suffering from the same disease, our backgrounds were same, were different, and you find that even the way you approach the journey was different, because of maybe the background where you're coming from, or the type of support system that you have, or what you generally know about cervical cancer. And for a person like me who's in the public eye, I had very little knowledge about cervical cancer. And so I was learning on the go. It's like you're given a job and you're told you're going to learn as you go. That's what happened to me. And so when I finished my treatment, I realized that we needed to inform and educate the public about cervical cancer. I know a lot of women that lost their marriages because their husbands thought after a cervical cancer diagnosis, that's it. They're not woman enough for them. So they left them to go and marry other people. Some women lost their jobs because their employers didn't know better. So I realized that there was a lot of misinformation, there were a lot of myths and misconceptions out there, and there was a lot of stigma attached to the disease, which meant that a lot of women would rather die and suffer in silence. And so I thought, who better to demystify all this than a person that has walked the journey? So that was my inspiration. That is why I decided to just be the advocate that I am today.
That's amazing, Karen. And obviously, seeing you always with a smile and that amazing attitude is really inspirational. What will be your message of a message that you want to convey to other women going through the same issues. Obviously, your journey is self-explanatory, but what will be a specific, perhaps, a message that you want to convey?
I think my first message to those that are going through a cervical cancer diagnosis is that it's not a death sentence. I think women need to stop blaming themselves for this. You didn't choose it, really. And I think we've all come to learn that cancer does not choose. Whatever type of cancer will not choose who it afflicts. But when you're affected by it, it is not a death sentence. I know most countries in in Africa do not have the treatment, you know, to go with the diagnosis, and that can be very challenging. It becomes very, very expensive to treat, and most of the time, patients have to use out of pocket spend, which is astronomical in most cases. And so, I'd like to encourage those women that are not yet don't know what their status is to actually go for regular screening to avoid getting to a point where you have a cancer diagnosis like myself. And like I said, especially when we have so many challenges with regards treatment. But however, when you get to that point, it is not a death sentence. You can get through it. All we need, I think, is just the right support. We need to educate the public, the communities, um, about stigma, not to stigmatize a person that has got cervical cancer, but to support them, because that support goes a very long way. It actually complements the treatment that one has to go through.
Mm.
So it's very important that we are made aware that it's not a death sentence, and to avoid you getting to that point, you need to go for regular screening.
Thank you, Karen. And obviously, as a radio and television presenter, I'm sure you're using this also to promote that kind of message. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well, the role of media in advocating?
I think media is a very powerful tool that we are not using so much, especially I think as advocates. And I think everyone who's involved in this cancer space, we're not using the media. And yet it's a very powerful tool that can be used to help with some of, dispelling some of the myths and misconceptions. It can help with telling people and teaching people about how they can prevent some of these cancers, about the treatments that are available, about the programs that are in place, and about the progress that has been made in certain places. And also those countries that are still struggling, it's a tool we can use to help with best practices. For instance, I use my radio show to talk about cervical cancer. And I think the last month I was going on and on about the HPV vaccine. Um, and at first, when I started, I thought it was going to be received with negativity by the public because of the assumption that people don't want to talk about anything that is sexual, anything below the belt, especially in Africa, is taboo. You don't want to talk about it all the time. But I thought, you know what, we have to start somewhere. And I remember telling my boss I wanted to do that. At first, he was skeptical. But when I did, the reception that we received was so overwhelming, people wanting to find out where they can go for screening, where they can take their children for vaccination. And I think that is because I decided to just talk about it as it is. Okay. You get cervical cancer, it is in your cervix, and this is the cervix, and you just be blunt, because if you're gonna tell somebody something, tell it as it is. Don't sugarcoat it. And I think uh, we've treated this with kid gloves for the longest time. It's time for us to just talk about it, generalize conversations about cancer, whatever cancer it is. Let us normalize conversations about cancer. Let's make it a daily topic. Let's not make it a topical issue. And that is where the media comes in. If we can see a lot of reports about cancer, in their newspapers, in their tabloids, in the magazines, on radio, on TV, I think people are going to get the hang of it, and eventually it's something that we'll be able to talk about without shame, without feeling guilty that we're doing the wrong thing. And it will go a long way in informing and educating the public about cancer and how some of the cancers can even be prevented. So the media has a critical role to play in the fight in cancer prevention. and also just generally against cancer. So we need to take advantage and make sure that we utilize the media, regardless of what type of media it is. You spoke about Facebook, where I have over 130,000 women. That is a good platform to talk about these things, and that is what we do.
That's incredible. It's extremely powerful what you're saying in how we need to normalize those conversations, and it's really, I think the World Cancer Day campaign
Absolutely.
has a lot of that in place this year, especially with the call to action that
Yes.
maybe Janine, you want to mention a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would love to just quickly pass a message as well to everyone watching, is that this is the last year of Close the Care Gap campaign, and this year is all about bringing it up to the next level. So we're asking governments, we're asking world leaders worldwide to finally address these issues of inequities in cancer care, and we're asking everyone to join this call to action and sending a letter to our health ministers. And you can do that by simply going on our website, worldcancerday.org, go on join call to action. You just put in your name and your email, and this will send a letter to your health minister. So I encourage everyone to be part of this movement and to join us in asking for equities in cancer care.
Mm-hmm. Which is a lot of, what you are already doing in Zambia, Karen, with Teal Sisters and the work that you do as an advocate. So we are really very happy to have you here today. And I don't know, perhaps you want
final message?
You want to leave us with a message of hope on World Cancer Day. What will be your chosen message?
I thank you so much. I don't know if it's a message of hope. It's rather a sad message. I think you're aware by now that we lost Namibia's president in the early hours of this morning. And just 2 days ago, I was on a meeting with the First Lady of Namibia. And I remember her message was, sometimes you talk about cancer because you have to talk about it. But then there are times like when she was talking, because she was now affected by it, and talks about the importance of prioritizing cancer care, countries prioritizing cancer care, because cancer does not choose. There is a president who had all the resources at his tips, but he still succumbed to cancer. And I think that is a very strong message that his death has sent, and especially that he had to die on World Cancer Day. I think I'll repeat that governments need to prioritize cancer care in their countries so that they can serve their people. And so as we talk about closing the care gap, we need governments, we need all leaders to join hands and make sure that together we can close the care gap by prioritizing the cancer agenda in their policies, in their budgets, in their day-to-day programs, so that we can save millions of people from unnecessary death. Sometimes it has to happen like it has happened, and may his soul rest in peace. But there are times when we can actually save people if we have the right interventions in place. So that is my message to all the leaders out there. Let us close the care gap by ensuring that we have good health systems in place, especially for cancer care.
Thank you very much, Karen, also for coming on this live and sharing your personal stories. It's very much appreciated.
Yes, thank you so much, Karen. And you couldn't say better, really. I think that we are here to close the care gap together, and regardless of who you are or where you live, we are all in this fight together, and you couldn't have said it better. So thank you so much. And this is our first live broadcast of the day. So thank you for joining us. Well, the second, actually. Yes. Sorry.
Have a wonderful rest of the day, and see you later.
Take care, Karen. Bye-bye.
Bye, Karen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Far more unites us than divides us.
We live, we love, we learn, we work, we play, and we get sick.
Anyone can get cancer, but not everyone has the same access to cancer care.
This can change. It must change.
World leaders, those with the power to make that change, need to hear our message.
We need your help to make sure it's heard.
There have been incredible advances in cancer prevention,
diagnosis and treatment for some,
but not for all.
Income, education, geography, and discrimination can all affect the treatment and care we receive.
Differences exist between countries, across age groups, and inside the borders of all nations, wealthy and poor.
Where you live, who you are, who you love, it makes no difference to cancer. Why should it make a difference to cancer care?
United, we can tell governments that this matters. Together, we can be a part of the solution.
Will you add your voice?
Demand equity for cancer care and help us close the care gap.